When I returned home one afternoon, I found my front door locked tight, and my key no longer worked. The lock had been swapped out without my knowledge while I was at work. A letter from the Ridgewood Estates Association mockingly told me I owed $700 for new keys and emergency services. After a long day on the job, the last thing I expected was to be barred from my own house. What they didn't realize was that I'd installed a sophisticated security setup throughout my home. Cameras, sensors, backups, everything to catch intruders red-handed. And now, those devices were silently capturing every move these self-appointed neighborhood enforcers made, every whispered plan, every illegal step. This wasn't just about locks or fines. It was a battle between a man who designed security systems and an HOA that thought they could bully a newcomer into submission. Here's the story of how a small community's power struggle unraveled and exposed a corruption scheme nobody saw coming. 3 years ago, I moved into Ridgewood Estates, a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside the city. I just landed a big contract with a cybersecurity firm, which finally allowed me to buy a home here. These houses weren't just buildings. They were symbols of status. Perfect lawns, fresh paint, and neighbors who drove cars worth more than some people's annual salaries. After years living in cramped apartments, owning this house felt like a dream. I spent months upgrading the inside, adding a top-tier security system I designed myself. From the street, it looked normal. A few cameras, some motion detectors, an electronic lock on the front door. But hidden inside were secret backups. A second network of cameras disguised as birdhouses, sensors hidden in the porch trim, and a separate control panel no one knew about. Security wasn't just my job, it was my passion. Years earlier, when my college roommate had his laptop stolen, losing his thesis, I promised myself I'd create systems that protected what mattered. I worked for some of the biggest security firms before starting my own consultancy, specializing in systems that not only blocked intruders, but recorded every step in ways that could hold up in court. I never thought these skills would be tested in my own neighborhood. At first, life in Ridgewood Estates was pleasant enough. Neighbors were polite but distant. The community pool was well kept, and the $300 monthly HOA fee seemed fair for the amenities. I even joined the neighborhood watch and shared some security tips, which were politely acknowledged and then ignored. The HOA president, Lydia Maxwell, was a stern woman in her 50s who ran meetings like a drill sergeant. She liked control and appearances. When I asked for details about a new $1,600 community improvement fund, her smile froze, and she quickly dismissed my questions. Later, a neighbor warned me quietly, "Don't poke the bear. Lydia is known to ruin lives." Soon after, petty fines began. My flower pots were out of compliance. Then the colors of the blooms themselves were unapproved. One fine led to another, and soon I was buried in fees for ridiculous reasons. Neighborhood invitations stopped coming. Greetings became cold nods. Then came the ominous email. I was the only homeowner who hadn't paid the new fund. Lydia herself called, her sweet voice dripping with threat, reminding me community participation is essential. That night, checking my security cameras, I saw a shadow move in my yard at 2 a.m. Someone was measuring my door frame, testing the locks. It was Greg Harlow, the local locksmith who did all HOA maintenance, and Walter Dean, the vice president of the HOA and a former cop with a questionable past. This wasn't random. It was reconnaissance for something bigger. I spent days analyzing my home's weak spots, upgrading locks, installing new hidden cameras that stored footage off-site, impossible to erase or tamper with. I tracked every message and interaction with HOA members, knowing documentation was my best weapon. Digging into HOA records, I uncovered discrepancies. Their bylaws weren't what they handed out to homeowners. Financial reports were filled with suspicious transactions to ghost vendors linked to board members. 7 properties had liens slapped on them in just 4 years, far more than expected in a neighborhood this size. It was a scheme. Lydia and her team weren't just control freaks. They were running an extortion racket. Harass homeowners, force them to sell cheaply, then buy their homes through hidden companies. One night, I caught Greg and Walter sneaking around my property after midnight. They tried to peek through my windows, took photos, and even plugged a device into my computer. They believed they were stealing my security designs, but I'd set a trap. The files they copied were fake, bait designed to track anyone trying to exploit them. I recorded their conversations, plans to pressure me out, mentions of previous targets, and a disturbing line from Walter. By next month, he'll be begging to sell. When I returned home from a trip, I found my front door replaced, locked behind me, and a notice demanding I pay $750 plus fees for the new keys, citing a fake gas leak emergency. Walter showed up playing concerned cop, but his evasiveness when I asked for inspection reports told the truth. I wasn't defeated. With the help of Priya, a sharp real estate lawyer, and Martin, a neighbor who'd secretly been feeding me intel, I built a hidden command center in my basement. I mapped the HOA's actions, linked every for sale to shell companies tied to Lydia's late husband's estate, and set up covert surveillance of their meetings. During one secret gathering, I recorded Lydia accepting a thick envelope from a developer. They planned to sell a large part of the community park, including the land next to my house, for nearly $1 million, without telling anyone. My home sat right in the path of their proposed access road. If I was gone, they'd profit huge. I played the part of the compliant homeowner, paying some fines, attending events, even volunteering, all while recording everything. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. This was a long-running, well-oiled fraud. When Lydia publicly bragged about her victory at a neighborhood barbecue, my sister secretly streamed it live. Behind the smiles, I was planning my counterattack. Operation Eagles, a surveillance network capturing every corrupt move. The psychological toll was immense. Sleep was scarce. Every creak, every shadow, every knock made my heart race. But I had purpose. I was no victim. The final act came during a staged safety inspection. While I created a fake inspection inside the house using timed lights and recorded noises, I sat hidden across the street, listening in on Lydia's meeting with the developer. Suddenly, the inspector went off script, damaging my home and planting drugs in my closet, a setup to force me out legally. Priya arrived just in time, demanding to see a warrant. The police left, and I revealed footage of the planted evidence. Walter and Lydia's empire began to crumble. In the days that followed, police raided the HOA office and Lydia's house. Charges of fraud, extortion, and evidence tampering piled up. Greg turned state's witness, exposing years of theft and cover-ups. At the community meeting, I shared the proof, the videos, the emails, the bribery. Neighbors who once shunned me thanked me. The HOA was reformed under new leadership committed to transparency. I wasn't a hero. I just had the skills and the will to fight. Looking back, I realized Lydia's power came from silence. When people stop speaking up, bullies thrive. Standing up isn't just for yourself. It's for everyone who might face the same fight. Now, as the neighborhood heals and the park remains untouched, I'm helping others protect their homes from similar corruption. Because the best security doesn't just keep danger out, it shines a light on the truth. This story is a powerful reminder that standing up to injustice requires courage, vigilance, and the right tools. When faced with a corrupt system designed to intimidate and silence, it's easy to feel powerless. But knowledge and preparation can turn the tide. Our protagonist's journey shows how expertise and determination can expose hidden wrongdoings and protect what matters most: home, community, and trust. Beyond winning a personal battle, this fight became a beacon for others trapped in similar struggles, proving that change begins when someone refuses to stay silent. In a world where those in power often exploit rules for their gain, shining a light on the truth is the strongest defense. This isn't just a story about one neighborhood. It's a call to action for anyone who values fairness and integrity. Because real security is more than locks and cameras. It's about empowering people to reclaim control over their lives and communities.